variables as constants, because if you have too many variables, the whole thing blows up. And we have things in meteorology called spaghetti charts. Spaghetti chart is you let the model run and you trace one line, and one line that starts out if you have 5 different versions and it's all real close, and then all of a sudden it goes all over, and before you know it, you got a plate of spaghetti, because the models are all doing different things based on how you treat each variable. And one of the things he told me back then, of course, you got to consider this is 22 years ago with the early climate models. He said one of the things they hold constant is cloud cover at 49% of the planet. They picked a number, said, well, it's variable, it's always different clouds, but we're just going to hold it here. About half the cloud, And he said, what they don't tell you is that if you increase cloud cover from 49 to 51% in their models, it completely negates the effects of doubling CO2 in the atmosphere, because you have more reflection off the clouds from the, and all these different other things that go along with it. So I've never forgotten that one. I've used that story for years, and I've used it to try and identify how one of my favorite quotes is a British Prime Minister from the turn of the century, last century. His name was Benjamin Disraeli, and his quote is this: there are 3 kinds of lies: lies, damn lies, and statistics. And you can twist statistics to say whatever you want, and you can show causation, correlation. Correlation and causation are not the same thing. So all I'm going to say to you about this, and I know there's some people concerned about climate change and what we're doing to our planet. We affect our planet. We don't control our planet's temperature. We are parasites on our planet. Our planet is a living, breathing entity, and we are parasites. And just like parasites on an animal, just like fleas on the butt of the dog, we can make the dog sick, but we can't tell the dog to run down the street, jump over Mr. Smith's lawn or fence and take a dump. We can't do it. We don't control it. There's no thermostat. But what we can do, we can't control those things that we can't. We have no effect on those things that we can't control. We can't decide when a volcano is going to blow. Mount Pinatubo in 1993 reduced the ash cloud went around the planet, reduced the global temperature that summer. We have no effect on that. Sunspots. Hundreds of years ago, there was this thing called the Maunder minimum. There was an 80-year period where there were virtually no sunspots. When that happened? It happened during what they called the Little Ice Age in Europe in the 1700s, when the Thames River froze over every year. So we can't control that. But does that mean we should do nothing? Heck no. What can we control? Well, we can stop idling at our intersections and burning these fossil fuels that are contributing to it. I've got proof that we heat up the earth. That what we're doing with paving over green grass will heat up I can show you records from Louisville. Anyway, moral of the story is, when I lived in Wyoming, I was a Cub Scout leader and a Boy Scout leader, and what we told these 7, 8, 9-year-old kids back then is something that we can all do. You leave it cleaner than you found it. You pack it in, you pack it out. And it's really stupid to pollute our planet, because we're polluting where we live. So anyway, that's as much as I'll go into on that. Rainfall rates of 8.47 inches an hour. Even when it only happens for 20 minutes, you can get 2.68 inches of rain. This is a home weather station just like the one out there. This is a meteorologist in town sent this one to me. That day he beat me. I only had 7.5 inches per hour. But the sort of torrential rains that we've had this year, I've seen them on occasion, not with every storm. This has been the weirdest year. And that's the one thing that, I don't believe that, the sea levels are going to rise 5 feet in X number of years or any of that. I don't believe any of that, because I know our forecast models. I don't believe our forecast models beyond 5 days. We give our best guess on trends, but I'm not going to make $1 million decision on a 7-day forecast right now for any point on the planet, because I don't trust them. You should see the hurricane models. Oh my God, the spaghetti charts for those are incredible, aren't they? So I don't believe these 50-year forecasts, because we have no proof to see that they're anywhere right. But what I do believe about the whole global warming thing is that the more energy you put into the atmosphere, the more volatile it's going to be. You're going to have hot spots, cold spots. And what have we had this year? We've had lots of hot spots and cold spots, and we've had patterns that reflect nothing like normal climatological weather patterns for this part of the country or this part of the world.
So I'm just curious about making the distinction on that, because it's been interesting. I haven't had a conversation with a scientist that's kind of almost mitigated or downplayed our impact on the climate. And I know the difference between weather and climate, and politicians often take weather and twist it into an undercut of the climate. Oh man, it was a real cold winter. Like my father-in-law, man, such a cold winter. I wish we could get some of that global warming now. And I'm just like, you're missing the point here.
Yeah.
But it's good spin. And so maybe I'm misunderstanding you, but you've said a few things here that like have just kind of piqued my interest. Like, I don't know about this global warming thing, or we don't control the Earth, or I can't predict, whether oceans are going to rise 5 feet. Oceans are going to rise 5 feet, right? I mean, that's
eventually,
all science we know, right, is that the water expands when it gets warmer, and there's positive feedback loops, and we continue to dump CO2 into it, and there's a lag, and there's.
But what if there's a feedback mechanism that puts clouds over the atmosphere?
What if a volcano erupts?
Right, exactly.
We all hope a volcano erupts and creates a mirror.
Exactly.
And bounces some of that shit back, but clearly that's not where we're trending, right?
Yeah.
And so I don't want to get into an argument with you or anything like that, but I just
and I have been accused by people on the far ends of both sides of the spectrum as being a wacko for the other side. What I'm saying is no, it's somewhere in between. In fact, I have if you only believe black and white, everything's black and white, you miss so many shades of gray where the real truth is.
Sure.
And what I'm saying is it's somewhere in the middle there, and there are enough uncertainties that we can't say, is it over in this way or is it this way? But what we need to do is control what we can control.
We look at the trends from the Industrial Revolution and say, okay, look what's happened to CO2.
Right, exactly. Well,
yeah,
I mean, it's not rocket science. It's basic kinetic energy, potential energy. We've taken all this potential energy that's been stored under the crust of the Earth, and we convert it into from potential energy into heat energy to create electrical energy, so that we can have all these fun little doodads that click and don't click and stuff like that.
Right.
So and you really want to look at stuff. You look at so when did the so-called hockey stick thing? Well, the hockey stick on CO2 and everything else and all that, it mirrors the population of the planet. We didn't pass 1 billion people on this planet until 1850. We're over 8 billion now, and we're going up fast.
Right.
So Mother Nature, whether we like it or not, is a lot more powerful than we are. There could be some cataclysmic thing that says, boom, I like 1 billion people better.
Brexit, right.
Yeah. And
but until then,
yeah, we got to stop doing this. Yeah. So that's why I've been over to Europe several times. I love going over there and get a car, even when I have to drive on the wrong side. I finally learned how to shift. I didn't do that with my left hand. But you know what happens when you pull up to a stop sign? Same thing that happens in my Prius. The engine stops. Why is it? It drives me crazy. I sit, I stop at an intersection here and blah, 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 blah. And plus they have roundabouts, and I love that in the UK and Ireland. Roundabouts, you never stop, except down here. There's a roundabout down here I saw 3 cars stop at. I'm going, why are you stopping? Nobody knows how to use them in this country.
Gas is $10 a gallon, so it reduces people's, ability to drive.
But I mean, and when if the car manufacturers can make a Nissan Rogue that the engine stops at every stoplight in the UK or in Turkey where I drove one, well, they can do it here too. Yeah, there's a reason that they don't. It's all about this. So anyway, we got all way off subject on this one. No, but I got the stage, so I can say whatever I want. My mission is protection of lives and property. I will say what I believe is true science-wise. I don't believe the right. I don't believe the far left. I know the answer somewhere in the middle. But this thing I know. More people are dying every year because of floods and flash floods than all these other things. I mean, this is the only one that's trending the wrong direction. Now, we have the heat stuff, and I got to tell you, our heat fatality records are worthless. You know, the ones that count in on most of these. This is a 30-year average, 134 people. This was 1995 and 1998, 2 deadly heat years. But most everything else that goes in there are not all the people that are dying on the days when it's 94 degrees out and they find someone who's elderly and they don't have air conditioning. No, what's happening is these are the kids that are being left in the cars that make the news, because that's the only ones that we really report on. So we're trying to get a student through a couple different programs, get a paid student to actually go through, and in Louisville and Lexington, maybe even Bowling Green, go through all the emergency calls and the fatality rates for people just aren't really healthy, but the hot weather and they don't have air conditioning really kills them. So that one will change when we start to get better data on that. Oh, yeah.
Can I please ask a question about flooding? You might answer it. If you're going to be saying this later, please let me know. But like, is there any way, say we didn't have any technology with us and we weren't noticing a weather report, is there a way that you can estimate the potential for flash flooding or flooding? Like if you were just out somewhere, is there signs to look for?
Well, the most important sign is just don't drive into any water over the road.
You're out like and leading people, and like say you're out like hiking or leading people or in an area that maybe.
If you're in if it's a rocky area and steep, like if you're over at Natural Bridge State Park and and you're hiking there, if it starts to rain heavily, you want to stay on the ridge tops. You don't want to get down anywhere where the water is going to start running. I don't know if you've seen some of the flooding from just the last couple of days in the desert southwest Phoenix, and that they had like 2.5 inches of rain, which is like half their annual rainfall in one day. And people they've had flash floods that have been caused by 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch. So it's all dependent on the topography of the area.
Okay.
So that's the number one thing is
where you're at, your elevation.
Right. Okay. And the rockier, the worse it is. So, but I did want to point out, 30-year average 85, 10-year average 93. This is from last year, 116. We've already had 4 in the last month and a half in Kentucky. These are easily preventable fatalities. People, we talked about it. People don't respect the power of running water, and most flash flood fatalities occur in automobiles, which means people make a conscious decision from going from a point here where it's wet to a point here where it's flooded. The woman in Harrison County, if she had just stopped, done like you said, drove over to a friend's house and, just pull off the road, go to, get on the phone and talk to her friend instead of getting washed off into a hole. Sometimes, and if you drive into across a area that doesn't look like it has a lot of water, you don't know if there's a bridge under, or if there's a road under that, especially at night. So that's my biggest pet peeve. She was from Colorado, I thought.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
And I mean, like I say, these streams that I'm around all the time, I'm like, they're nothing.
Right.
She probably just totally underestimated.
Yeah, she was only 20 years old, probably didn't know the area very well. She was working at one of the farms out there, so it's really sad. This is the most important thing to remember about weather and climate. Past performance does not guarantee future results. Things change. I love it when, again, statistics. This is mean average temperature for Lexington. I love it when they show all this variability and they show a straight line. Well, this is where it's going. No, I can't fit a straight line in there. It's a nice little Loess curve. That's the way I see every time that I see data. I see a straight line, just drives me crazy, because that might, So what am I looking at here? I'm looking at, it gets warm, it gets cold, it gets warm, it gets cold. Cycles, everything, and I do mean everything about weather and climate is cyclical. Is this a cycle that we're going to be coming down over here, whether we do anything or not? These are mean average temperatures for Evansville. I didn't put the Louisville one up here because we've skewered the data. We've ruined it with the airport by paving the airport over. So now it's just getting warmer and warmer and warmer. So you were talking about how to stay safe, and when it's all about situation awareness. Pay attention to what's going on around you. Situation awareness has nothing to do with intelligence, well, it has a little bit to do with intelligence and with education and training, but even very well educated and intelligent people and well trained people can run into problems if they're not paying attention. It's all about paying attention. Yeah.
I love the thermometer in my car. Because I'll be in Lexington on a hot summer day and it'll be up in the 80s, especially at night.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll get out of Lexington and I'll watch the
Oh yeah,
drop.
yeah.
Then I get to Versailles and it
goes
goes up a little
yep.
bit. Then it goes down. And then, I'll go through Frankfurt. And then I live out in the hills. And
It drops
only
off.
a 10-degree difference.
Oh yeah, easily.
Between
Yeah.
Lexington and I love watching, in the winter when I'm down by the creek.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
really
Really drops,
cold.
yeah.
Then I get up on the hill where my
Yep.
house is. And
Cold air's
all
heavier
this
than warm
stuff,
air. Yeah.
And I'm fascinated by
That's the
that.
concrete?
What's that?
That's the concrete from the city?
Yeah.
Just the stuff
in general,
from
yeah.
the city,
Yeah. The grass cools, the natural grass and lakes and water will cool off considerably faster than the concrete in a city. The concrete jungle really is a jungle in that it just stores all the heat that it absorbs during the day, and it's very slow to radiate it out at night. And then if you get cloud cover over it, boom, it just gets stuck in. A cloud cover is just like a blanket.
You're getting some evaporative cooling from the transpiration, correct?
In the
From the vegetation.
from the vegetation, and you don't get that from the asphalt or the concrete either. Yeah. So it's greenscaping and they're starting to do that now in Louisville. Putting green roofs on and getting trees. Trees are a big asset to keeping a city cool. So
I saw on Facebook somewhere, I don't remember if it was in Europe or here, they were painting the roads white.
oh yeah. Well, have you ever noticed the school buses here have white tops on them?
Yeah.
That's why. When I was in Wyoming, they had black tops. You know why?
Oh.
Because if one of them got stuck in the snow, you had to be able to find it. And when I moved here, I thought, well, that's terrible. Well, they have white. And then oh no, yeah, they need it here. They're never going to get buried in snow here, but it does keep it a lot cooler. Yeah. Yeah, and I don't know if you have what color your vehicle is. You put your hand on a black car in the afternoon. You're not leaving it there. Put it on a white car. Yeah, okay, it's hot. So yeah, it makes a big difference. Yeah, the albedo and the. Anybody here ever heard of the parable of the five blind men? It's an Indian parable. That's Indian national, not Indian Native American. It goes like this: there's 5 blind men who were asked to describe this animal. They put these 5 blind men into a room with this animal, and because they're blind, obviously they couldn't see it, so they can't describe it that way, so they had to use their other senses. And for the sake of argument, we'll say that the animal was very clean, so they couldn't smell it. The animal was very quiet, so they couldn't hear it. They couldn't taste it because it was alive. They didn't want to make it mad, so that only left the sense of touch. So they place the 5 blind men around this animal and say, what does this animal look like? The first blind man says, this animal is long and skinny, I can tie it in a knot. This animal looks like a rope. The second blind man says, this animal's thick and sturdy, I can't even put my arms around it. This animal looks like a tree trunk. The third blind man said, this animal is thin, I can flap it and create a breeze and cool myself. This animal looks like a fan. Fourth blind man said, this animal is long and muscular, it can wrap itself around me and squeeze me. This animal looks like a snake. And the fifth blind man said, this animal is long and hard and I can make a weapon out of it. This animal looks like a spear. So then the question then becomes, were any of these guys right? Were all of them right? Or were they all wrong?
All wrong.
They're all wrong? Well, one area looks like a rope. Another area looks like a big python or a boa. So when we only have a little bit of the big picture, we can be wrong about a lot of things. But now what if these 5 guys exchange information and say, I've got a fan over here, I've got a rope over here, I've got a tree, we got an elephant. So exchanging information. I've got a little bit of information, you have a little bit of information, you have information. We put it all together, now we can see the big picture. That is how you stay safe in severe weather. Because we have a lot of information out here, and we'll take a quick little tour when we're done and look at some of the stuff that we have. We see a lot of things from 25,000 or 23,000 miles out from satellite. We can see a lot of things on our radar. We can see stuff above ground, above the lowest radar beam. We can't see what's below the ground. So if you can get your information to us and we can get our information to you, and we're talking the same language. Now, that's the other problem. If this guy speaks Swahili, this one speaks German, Italian, Japanese, and English, and none of them speak each other's language, and then we're right back to a tree and a snake and all that sort of stuff. But if we exchange our information, we can say there's heavy rain out here, and you're out hiking, and you've got that information. You know that I need to stay away from the low-lying areas. So there's lots of ways you can do that. This is where I go into my spiel and talk about CocoRa's. That's a rain gauge. It would be great for anyone here. In fact, if I could find one out here, I might even have a little contest.
It's like the one where you can measure it in your backyard, or like that plastic.
You measure it to 100th of an inch. It's so cool.
I used to check that thing and record it every day for a year.
Oh, okay. See, this CocoRa's is a program that started after a big flash flood that killed 7 people or 5 people in Fort Collins in 1997. And what happened back then? The blind guy in the back didn't tell the blind guy in the front that we had 14 inches of rain. We estimated 7 inches of rain, but Fort Collins, Colorado is where Colorado State University is. They have a big master's and PhD program in meteorology. They have lots of meteorologists out there. Rained and rained and rained. Monsoon rain. Monsoon rain just means it's wind blowing into the mountain. And it comes down, it comes down, it comes down. The Denver office put out a flash flood warning and estimated that they had 7 inches of rain. They had 14 inches of rain. 14 inches of rain in an area like this is going to cause a lot of problems. 14 inches of rain in the Rocky Mountains, where the elevation goes like this, is going to create a wall of water behind a railroad embankment that's going to break and send a wall of water through Fort Collins and kill 5 people and flood 40-some buildings on CSU's campus. And that's exactly what happened. Well, as is usually the case, money flows after a disaster. So what happened in Weld County out there was the Larimer County took the emergency management money and worked with the state climatologist, who just happened to be at Colorado State University. Said, we need to let the Weather Service know. We knew that we had more rain than they had, but we didn't know how to get that information to them. So they created this system called CocoRa's, where you can type in and send the information in, and you read the rain gauge every morning, and that helps on the river forecast and the drought forecast. And then if you have a real heavy rain, you got 2.5 inches in 15 minutes, you send that in, and it sets off bells and whistles out here where we put out our flash flood warnings. And so they started that up. We have almost 800 people who've signed up to use it in Kentucky, but we only have 180 that have reported in the last year and a half. So, it's one of those things that people get excited about and then they stop doing it. So if there's anybody that's interested here, I would strongly encourage you to look into doing it. Now, the one requirement is that you have to spend about $30 on the rain gauge, because and this is not a Weather Service program. It's an independent program, but it's in all 50 states now, and it's helped save lives. I've issued at least 3 flash flood warnings from this office here based on CocoRa's reports coming in, where we go, oh, I think they're getting a lot of rain there. And then boom, it comes in and says, oh, we've had 2 inches of rain in 20 minutes. Well, it says on our flash flood guidance that 2 inches in 3 hours will cause a flash flood. I better get a flash flood warning out now and get it out before the flood warning, or before the waters hit. So, Weather Ready Nation ambassadors, how many of you belong to a business or an organization that would like to be an official ambassador to the National Weather Service? Seriously? Sure. Okay. I'll get you the information. It's real easy. Sign up. It gets you in on our conference calls for before severe weather. The Parklands is already one. I'm trying to get. I'm not sure who signed up over there, but when we do our conference calls, we send out text notifications that, hey, we got severe weather coming the next couple of days. We're going to do a conference call. We're also going to start doing webinars. We just had a meeting yesterday that said we've been talking about this for a year. We haven't done it. So sometime between now and Thanksgiving, we're going to do our first webinar, which is going to be a little bit of this sort of stuff. But then we do a lot of presentations to different groups. It's like, our Weather Ready Nation ambassadors would love to, have this sort of stuff. So we're going to do those, and then maybe tape them and put them on our YouTube channel too. So I'll get you the information on that. But all you really need to do is just go to this website, weather.gov/WRN, and we're in the process right now of redoing a wall. We're going to have we'll put your business logo on a block, and we're going to build a wall out of our Weather Ready Nation ambassadors. So we've got about 120 20 right now. We'd love to add to it.
If you
so.
go to that site, can you see who they are?
Yeah, actually, there is. You got to click around. The Weather Service websites are. We have a lot of information. We just like to hide it. Here. Oh, since we've talked a little bit about climate and stuff, I thought I'd go into. This is a presentation I gave a couple months ago up at the Ohio Stormwater Conference. Okay, I don't know what I led into. Mouse doesn't like it. Okay, so, here. Actually, I will go back. Okay, started with some current events. The world can be a scary place. It's hard to know who or what to believe, Fake media this, strange things that. That's my favorite one. And then, you got things like ABC, that look like real websites out there. abcnews.com.co. So you got to be really careful on what's out there. And I don't know about you guys, but I think Google or Facebook is Big Brother. Who's watching us? Mark Zuckerberg. So anyway, so that was my lead up into this. What does that have to do with weather and climate? Well, guess what? Before there was fake news, there was fake weather on the internet. Yeah, I'm not kidding. There was all sorts of stuff. We were slow to get on the internet. We just got approved for our MySpace page, so we'll have that now. Yeah, we're a very slow organization. So to fill the void, all sorts of other people were putting out stuff. And this is an actual 5-day tropical weather outlook. Harvey. Remember what Harvey did last year? 50 inches of rain, unprecedented.